We're finally here.
Might finally be getting down to the bottom of the mystery of the WADR ghost. Jinkies.
All the clues have led to you, Reese. Tell us, what is the secret of the ghost of WADR?
Hey guys, what's that? Hey.
I'm up to the eyes and I love everyone. Today I could cry, I could reach for the sun. I'm walking on air and I'm here and I'm there. I try for the sky, but for one I don't care. Fly me straight and fly me high. Fly me straight and fly me high.
We got you cornered.
Phil Anderson?
Yes, it is I. There was a ghost in here who was running Russ Feingold and Ron Johnson spots, and I posed as Reese to draw him out and banish him from this property. Now he's gone.
Well, do you want to do an interview then?
Well, I got time left in the meter, so why not?
Hey everyone, and welcome to Matube. My name's Steve,
And I'm Chris.
and this is...
Phil Anderson, candidate for U.S. Senate with immense hands. Don't mess with me.
Those are not...
Camera trick.
Those are the opposite of Trump hands.
Exactly. Marco Rubio hands. I don't know. We're already in the gutter already. Like
All
30
right.
seconds in, but that's okay.
That's
New
Matube.
record.
Yep.
That's my tube.
All right, so we have some video questions. We're going to cut to those really quick, and we're going to do those fast, and then we're going to ask you some questions.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't normally do this, but I think you are up for it. We're going to have you run Hawthorne the Cruel's Gauntlet of Terror. Three
Awesome.
questions.
Answer me these questions 3.
So let's start with question 1.
Hey, Chris and Steve. It's Hawthorne the Cruel, de facto queen of the galaxy. Crownless today because I didn't feel like walking around my office and having my employees think that I was absolutely nuts. But still in all, queen. And I have 3 questions for Mr. Anderson. So my first question for Mr. Anderson. You're a business owner. You own a cab company. A lot of my employees drive for Uber in their free time for extra money, especially around the holidays. Cab companies hate Uber. They've attempted to shut them down in many cities, have succeeded in some. Cab companies are highly regulated. It costs them a lot of money to function. I understand that in some cities it's $2,000 to sometimes as much as $12,000 a year just to have a cab license. And here these upstart Uber folks just hop in a car and go pick people up. As a libertarian, you should support Uber and other endeavors like Uber, less regulation, etc. But I wonder how that is going to play out or conflict with the fact that you are an owner of a cab company. Where do you come down on ideas like Uber?
So first of all, I'm not the owner of the cab company. I'm the general manager, but I have been very involved in the question of Uber and local and state legislation in Wisconsin. So let me first say that I am all for deregulation, and I appreciate and respect Uber's business model. It's brilliant, and I love the idea of people being able to just hop in their cars and run taxi rides. My ideal situation would be no regulations for taxi companies, no regulations for Uber, basically competing on an even playing field. Secondarily, unfortunately, that can't be the case. So in terms of at least there being equal protection under the laws, they should be regulated the same, and they're not. So that's been the sort of the center of the controversy in Madison and in Wisconsin, is that not only have local authorities still regulating cab companies, but the state says that local municipalities cannot regulate Uber. They preempted local legislation, which I have a big problem with because that's a larger unit of government encroaching on the authority, if you will, or at least in terms of consent, the authority of people to arrive at their own laws at a local level. So that's where I stand on Uber.
We'll just go straight to the second question.
Bill's still standing. So,
Here I am.
So let's go on to.
So the second question. Question 2.
Okay, question number 2 for Phil Anderson. Phil, you're going to be a senator. Senators make laws. I don't like laws. I think we have enough laws, and most of the laws we have are laws against victimless crimes. These help to support and further the prison industrial complex, which is basically nothing but a continuation of slave labor. We have families torn apart, lives ruined for people going to jail, going to prison for things that really didn't hurt anybody but themselves. I would like to know if, as a senator, you would be willing to go in there and instead of making more laws, work toward repealing laws. Tons of laws. Millions and billions of laws.
When I'm elected to the Senate, I will do everything in my power to repeal laws, especially laws that have no victims. And I think that what we're talking about, what you didn't mention specifically, is the war on drugs. But there are other laws too. The war on drugs is a war on people because people have the right. This is not something that's legislated to them, not something that's given in the Constitution. It's just a basic natural law of human nature that people have the right to decide what to consume, what to ingest, how to live their lives as they choose, as long as they don't interfere with the rights of other people to do the same, right? We believe that, and that's self-evident. So in terms of the war on drugs, it's a victimless crime because as long as you're consuming responsibly and not affecting other people, you should be allowed to do so. And as you mentioned, there are huge ramifications. Once the government gets involved in legislating people's personal choices, pulling people out of families, out of jobs, putting them in jail, there's tremendous social consequences. And it's been a vehicle of racism because drug crimes get prosecuted against people of color at a much higher rate than against white people, even though we know that white people smoke as much weed as black people do. I want to go in there and basically tear it down. I'm not completely an anarchist in terms of being a U.S. senator, but the fewer laws, the better.
Excellent.
Works for me.
The last question.
Ooh.
And my third and final question for Mr. Anderson is, what are your thoughts about war? I'm tired of war. Will you vote against the next war if it is not a war that has something to do with our own safety? Those are my questions. I hope you get a chance to use them all. Remember, guys, live free. I command it. Oh, and congratulations, Chris and Steve, on making the big time. Go Matube! All right, guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
War. Good God, what is it good for?
Oh.
I stole your line.
You beat me. Nice.
Anyway, I agree with you 100%. War is, well, not to make a short question into a long answer, but the basic philosophy of government is that it has to be by consent, first of all, and second of all, that we can only delegate rights to government. Government only has the rights to do things that we delegate to them. So if a person can't go off and kill somebody for whatever reason they see fit, unless it's explicitly in self-defense, I suppose, then a government can't do that either. Yet our foreign policy has been doing that for 150 years or more. So certainly war is a terrible thing for many, many reasons, but it actually is a breach of the fundamental agreement between the governed and those who do the governing. And that is, number one, it's by consent, and number two, if I can't kill or steal in the form of taxation or make decisions for people in their personal lives or whatever, if I can't make these two guys do something, then the government should be allowed to make them do that either. Regardless of whether it's 51% or 99% or whatever it is, the rights reside with the individual, and that's where they exist, that's where they are, that's where they come from. And so in recognizing that actually relates a little bit to the answer to the previous question, and that the proper role of government is safeguarding those things that we know belong to individuals as human beings.
Good job.
Well, thank you.
You're still here.
I'm here.
Right through that gauntlet.
This last question from a viewer, anyway, we've got some more for you, but comes from Jessica Baird. Let's hear it.
What do you think about libertarians that are now supporting Trump over Gary Johnson because they think that Trump is actually more libertarian?
I think it's an interesting phenomenon, actually. There are people who have a vision of Donald Trump and the person that he is or would be as president that is sort of an anti-establishment view. And I think that sentiment, that narrow-ish sentiment of of liking him is what is tempting for libertarians. But a couple of things. Number one, he's not anti-establishment. He's part of the establishment. He's just not been in elective office. He's been party to and been practicing manipulation of both parties through campaign donations and manipulating local governments through eminent domain and things like that for decades. He's part of the system. He's just not part of the elected part of the system. So the idea that he's going to overturn this whole money-making machine that has been constructed by industries and lobbies and political parties, I think, is wishful thinking. We can see too that the way he talks like a would-be dictator. He talks like a fascist. He talks like Mussolini talked to the Italians and how Hitler talked to the Germans, and trying to foment this idea of he's the only one that can solve the problem. Trust me, I can solve this problem. Believe me. He says things that aren't based on like convincing people about factual or logical premises or anything like that. He just says, I'm the strong man. I can do it. Believe me. And that's a trap. That's a trap that leads toward bigger government.
Okay, now part of your campaign has been your daily videos. You've done this for more than a year now. Is that going to continue if you should win Senator?
Ooh.
The point of the daily videos, and it hasn't been a year yet. I think we were at 353, so we won't quite make a year. It won't quite make a year before Election Day. Was to sort of chronicle. To give an inside look at the campaign, issues that came up, as well as campaign news and even some personal things in there occasionally. One of my role models in terms of how to stay in touch with constituents and citizens of Wisconsin, although this gentleman's not from Wisconsin, is Justin Amash, who's a Republican congressman from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he communicates every single day with the committee meetings he's in, with who he meets with, about what's going on, how he's voting on things, and why, through social media. It's obviously very easy. I do it, a lot every day right now, but to me that adds. And so I don't think he does videos, but he'll do various things. But I'd be happy to do a video every day once I'm serving in the Senate, just a brief, like, hello everyone from Wisconsin, here's what happened today, here's what I did as part of my representation of you.
Yeah, since we already kind of got a little bit of Trump stuff in, about Hillary, what do you think her game is with trying to antagonize Russia?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's clear, the only sense that it makes is that there's some very strong corporate interests that they have to obey, more or less. And not just Hillary, but almost all the Democrats in Congress and in government, all the Republicans in government, they're all kind of preaching the same thing. We need to find an enemy. In this case, it's Russia, and previously it was other countries, and we need to be in a state of constant war with them, because that is what fuels the economy, the subsets of the economy that thrive on not only oil, energy, those sorts of things, but military contractors who right now we blow a ton of money in the defense budget on military contractors who basically charge whatever they want for things like doing laundry, repairing missiles, supplying trucks. That is how the government runs. That's who's in control of our government, actually, because they're funding the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. They're funding them to the point where they can't back off from those commitments to more and more war.
Well, thanks, like I said, thanks for being on. We will definitely have you on again if you win. And
what if I don't? I can't be on ever again?
Oh, you can be on again. That's a good point.
The fourth Friday of every month at 321 East Milwaukee, which is right here, we're going to be having our Rock County Libertarian Party meetings. And yeah, you can do that.
I'm like a cat.
Yeah, if you show up, you could do that. I'll definitely have the hat handy. I promise. Steve?
Did you give the address?
I thought I did.
Did you?
But if I did not, it is 321 East Milwaukee Street in Janesville.
Okay. All right, everyone, that is our episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Definitely share, because we got to get this guy a lot of votes. He needs
With my
a
huge
third,
thumbs.
a little over a third of the votes in Wisconsin, and he could be your next senator and actually raise the bar of freedom a little bit. So we need that. So make sure you share, and have a good night.
See ya.